I know nothing about what this is, so I'm excited to find out what an Adirondack River platter is.
Well, this
Jim.
was one of our Friday night, TikTok videos where I was cooking at home for my wife and I on Friday night here. I do it almost every winter, Friday night. And I also, if you watched any of these previous segments, know that I got a Reqtec smoker grill for Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm excited to use it for things. And I also will go to Wegmans after work on Friday, sometimes Thursday night, not knowing exactly what I'm going to get to make a lot of the times, see what looks good on the seafood side of things because my wife doesn't eat meat. So anyways, long story short, I get there and I see this beautiful rainbow trout, which I already made just a couple weeks ago. And I'm always concerned that, Kathleen's going to be like, oh, we just had the rainbow trout, 2 weeks ago. And I was originally thinking I would do salmon, but I saw that rainbow trout, and I'm like, I got to get that too. So I made a dish that had rainbow trout and salmon on it. Where do you see that?
Nowhere. I haven't seen that
my house
in a while.
on Friday nights.
Yeah, your house.
So I was like, what do you call this? And I thought, well, you can get your rainbow trout and your salmon in the rivers of the Adirondack region, right? So we'll call it Adirondack River Platter. And I also, to go with it, made one thing I wanted to do, and it was based on something I think I saw online, maybe the New York Times cooking suggestion was Radicchio and sweet potatoes. Because Radicchio is super. I do love it. It's very bitter, so you usually have to temper that with something sweet. So why not sweet potatoes? So I made a little kale, Radicchio, sweet potato salad, I suppose, warm slaw to go underneath that seafood. So
I'm already impressed because I thought for sure Adirondack River platter was something you got at a restaurant.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought if this was at a restaurant, what would you even call this? Because I've never seen that.
I didn't know you personally named it yourself.
I created a new dish, a new entree called the Adirondack River Platter. It includes rainbow trout and salmon. And what else can you get in the rivers of the Adirondacks?
I guess that I learned something new today. So I'm excited to see it.
Let's go. Yeah, so there you go. There's all the ingredients. There's the radicchio, there's the sweet potatoes, and there is the salmon.
Beautiful.
And that's why I looked at that stuff at the butcher's, at the fishmonger shelf at Wegmans. I had to get them both. And there's the Reqtec grill, warming up, a little snow in the air, feeling good on a Friday night. Cherry rum wood pellets, which I used last time I made the rainbow trout, and it was so good that I was excited to do it again. So we let that kind of get heated up, and I seasoned the fish with salt and pepper. And then a little bit of lemon juice, which when you put lemon juice on fish like this, it starts to cook it. It actually the acid starts to turn the fish from raw to more of a cooked kind of consistency. So then I peel the sweet potatoes and chop them up into little hash brown size bites. And we season that with some sea salt, some crushed red pepper.
No surprise there in your house on a Friday night.
Yep, and freshly ground black pepper, olive oil, and then onto a cookie sheet, which I've lined with parchment paper, and we're going to roast those in the oven.
Yum.
There they go, 400 degrees. Chop up some garlic, start doing some prep work here. I like peeling garlic. There's all these life hacks for peeling garlic. I like to do it the old-fashioned way. It's kind of therapeutic. And then I chop up some parsley and some wonderful dill. Look at that dill. I love fresh herbs.
Do you get those all at Wegmans too?
Yes, these I did. And then, and put just on the salmon some of that dill. And now we just toss these around and throw them back in the oven and get ready for our radicchio, which is always so easy to do. So I just now throw those in between the sweet potatoes and put a little olive oil. It gets all in those crevices there. And then also some balsamic vinegar, which radicchio is really, really bitter. So you do a couple things to kind of make it a little more palatable while still keeping that bitterness. And the balsamic usually goes well. So now we go and roast them all together for another 20 minutes or so.
Beautiful.
And now, this is fun. Stick of butter, parsley, dill.
All fresh.
1 garlic clove. I kind of crushed it up before I put it in there, and some lemon juice, and then we just over low heat melt that down, and that's pretty delicious what's going on right there. We're going to use that a little later.
Hey, George.
Yeah, George going outside to go to the bathroom. Now, I heat it up high to get the grate hot, and then I turn it down to low to smoke it. So as that's going on there, the skin at the bottom of those is getting, just a little extra bit of heat before we close it down and slow cook it for about a half an hour. And both the salmon and the trout were about the same thickness, so it worked out good. And then we do some more prep. Chop an onion.
Ugh, my least favorite part.
Because it makes you cry?
Yeah.
I'm going to chop up some more garlic. If your knife is sharp enough, it shouldn't make you cry.
I don't have a sharp knife like you, I don't think. I need to step up my game.
Or a knife sharpener.
Nope.
So out of the oven comes our vegetables. We'll set those aside to cool because we're going to have to chop up that radicchio. And now we start to build that slaw I was talking about, that kale, radicchio, onions, a little bit of Tabasco. People are like, wow, you're making this spicy. This will not make it spicy. It just adds a little bit of that umami type of, you don't know what it is in the base of what we're making here. Crushed red pepper, ground black pepper, and toss it around. See how the color, because of that Tabasco sauce, just changes a little. Shiitake mushrooms. Now, mushrooms are like a sponge. They soak up whatever you put in, whatever you're cooking them with. And now I add a little honey to my butter mixture. Why not?
Huh.
Make it a little better. Mix it up. And we're not quite ready to use that yet. And now that this is cooled, I just slice it up coarsely. And I'm going to add it to our saute pan along with the garlic that we chopped up. Don't put the garlic in too early because it burns. Don't want it to burn. Toss that around, and then we chop up our kale.
You're very good at your timing. I feel like I need to get better at that when I'm in the kitchen.
Timing's a lot of it. You got to kind of plan it out. There we got a little white wine from 680 Cellars right here in the Finger Lakes, and we are going to just add that to the saute pan. And like I mentioned about those mushrooms, they are just soaking up that liquid. And what's going on in that saute pan is looking pretty good. Remind me after this to tell you about that plate that I'm using to put the fish on. It looks pretty old, doesn't it?
It does.
So this came out perfect. Oh my God, it's so great. I love my Reqtec smoker. I love smoking seafood over low heat. And now I add the kale. And now I take the skin out. You don't have to take the skin off. Some people don't want the skin off. I like it off. I don't want to eat the skin, sorry.
Preference.
But it does break down the fillets a little bit. Now, remember that butter and honey and dill and parsley mixture? I'm just going to baste this now, that seafood with it. And then we're going to make some buckwheat noodles.
Buckwheat noodles.
This is just a little bit of a side to throw on, a quick little pasta. It doesn't have a ton of taste, but everything else is so flavorful that I feel it doesn't really need to be the star of the show. So some Kalamata olives and some capers, and then the rest of our sauce goes in there. Then we mix that up, and now we're probably about ready to plate this bad boy. Yep, there goes the kale and radicchio and mushroom into the plate. As you know, I like to put things all on the same plate so I can just sit down and eat it all at once on the couch. We're not serving it at a table. We're not getting too fancy. And then I add my sweet potatoes to the top of the kale and radicchio, and then put the seafood in it. The fillets broke a little bit taking the skin off, so it doesn't look, as great as it could, but it sure tasted good. And there you have it. Adirondack river platter, y'all.
A river platter. I mean, that is quite the platter, and there is so much that goes into that plate that, I, as a amateur cook, would be like, I don't even know where to start. You just walk through.
I also, as an amateur cook.
Okay, right. But you're definitely a little bit higher
more
up.
Experience. Now, when I was a little bit younger, I started cooking when I was in college, and I had great grandmothers on both sides, great cooks on both sides that I used to, eat their food, and sometimes I'd ask them, how'd you make this? And then when I went to college, I think I made like spaghetti sauce one day, and then I made chili another time, and everybody seemed to like it. So there you go. I guess I'll be the cook of the the group, and
Yeah.
I really did enjoy it. I enjoyed making something that so many other people liked, especially
Right.
when you're at college. You miss that home cooking type of
Oh, yeah.
deal. So on a
Ramen
Saturday or
noodles
a
for
Sunday,
days.
I would just cook, and all my friends would eat it. And so I kind of got hooked on it, and I just like it. It's therapeutic, it's fun, you can be creative, and you get to really enjoy the fruits of your labor.
You're definitely creative when it comes to these, and it's great. I'm sure your wife loved it, right?
Yeah, she liked it. It was good. It was really good. It was a nice treat.
What would you rate it?
Oh, that's right. This way, I would rate a 8 out of 10. Everything came out great.
Wow.
Even that little simple pasta side with the olives and capers was nice, because the other side of the plate with the kale and the radicchio and the sweet potatoes and mushrooms was really, strong, flavorful. The fish, the trout and the salmon, while the smoking kept it, gave it a mild smoky flavor. The butter sauce on top of it too was was pretty flavorful. So that pasta on the side, which also had that butter and honey sauce on it, along with the olives, was just a nice contrast to.
Yeah. Well, as always, I'm hungry now.
I
thanks
asked you
that.
to remind me to ask me something.
Oh,
Plate.
wait. Paul has something he wants to say
Yeah,
first.
go
What
ahead.
about the plate?
Yes, the plate.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
That plate was given to me by my aunt, who had held it until about 4 or 5 years ago, and that was my great grandmother's plate. Great grandmother's.
Love that.
So
Yeah.
we were talking going back to like 1915, 16s.
Wow. That's fun.
And I haven't had it officially dated, but it's fun to me to have stuff like that, to know that when I'm serving my food on to my family or friends, it was something that was on the table.
Yeah, that's cool.
Several generations before.
Not on the couch, that's for sure.
No, they didn't eat on the couch back then, I don't think. But that I love using that little platter, because I just think of the probably thousands of
Right.
meals that have been served on it.
I have a few things like that too that I love, so I understand the meaning of the plate. And it did look like it was really old, but at one point it must have been really pretty with a nice design on it.
Yeah, I like the way it looks now too, even faded and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a perfect size, and it's obviously stood the test of time.
Beautiful. Well, like I said, I'm hungry as always. We don't have anything to try from that.